We go to events, you see something new all the time. This is a tried and true thing. It's always with me. When somebody says they have radiation, I always pull it out of my bag and give them a few and say, hey, see what you feel like. I've never had anyone yet tell me they didn't get a lift.
The microdaily EMF comes in both the capsules or in a really yummy lemonade tasting drink. Dr. Porter and I both use it when we fly. And it's patented for EMF protection against 4G and 5G radiation. There's not another product on the market that's patented for 4G and 5G radiation that I know of.
This is a product I take every day. I don't remember a day that I didn't take it. When I was in the hospital, they asked me, what are you taking? I go, well, you're going to go give me a CT scan. This is my protection. They go, what do you mean? I said, this product protects you against radiation. And that's when I said, how many of these CT scans can you have? And they go, well, you can only have like 3 in a year, but you can only have 30 in your lifetime.
Welcome to the Brain Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick Porter. Please join us on our mission to better a billion brains. Enjoy the episode and remember to share it with your family and friends.
Hey, welcome back, Brain Tap Nation. This is Dr. Patrick Porter. I'm going to be your host of the Brain Fitness Podcast today, but I have two of my favorite people. And I still remember back to a dinner we had in Oregon like 10 years ago or whatever, and Dr. Kort saying, we need something for EMF protection. And since the doctor that we're bringing on in just a moment, he's like the revolutionary. He did this for the military. He's got research and all sorts of different things. You're going to be blown away because we're talking about EMF protection now. We're not just going to scare the pants off you that, hey, you're being bombarded by EMF and there's nothing you can do and you should just, pray to God and roll over and die. There are solutions. And these solutions are proven in science. So we're not talking about some faux science. We're talking about true science. So I want to bring into the conversation first Dr. Kort. Dr. Russ Kort is one of our top doctors. He's the innovator. He gets things done. People go to see him for a week at a time to take a brain from, those of you who have the NeuroCheck, take the brain from the low 5s into the 90s before they leave in a week. I mean, this is magic. And he's shown me so many different scans, and he does it not just with the brain tap. It's a whole protocol of what we do. So we're going to talk about that whole thing. But Dr. Kort, tell us a little bit about what got you so interested in EMF, because I know you're sensitive to EMF, and you even have a dog that helps you out with EMF. So tell us a little bit about what got you started and how you were introduced to Dr. Prasad.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Porter. I began my medical career back in the 1980s. I worked on a paramedic and fire unit for a decade. But in 1987, I decided to embark on a little bicycle trip and rode a bicycle 6,500 miles around Australia and hitchhiked over 15,000 miles over the course of 12 months. But that trip was not left being unscathed. I got hit 3 times by cars on my trip. And the first time I was hit, I stopped at a bike shop, and this bike shop wanted me to pay for the bike, and I didn't have enough money. So they hired me to help install cordless telephones in different factories. And these 4 21-year-olds bought an oscilloscope and doubled the signal, and then wired an aerial on the unit and doubled the signal. And it wasn't until a few months ago that my wife Jet was asking me, did you ever notice any cognitive issues or any motor issues back in Australia? And I was like, oh yeah, I did. I felt it with the cordless phones that we were doing. We were getting 1.5 miles out of a cordless phone. I mean, it was insane. The radio frequency exposure was crazy. But then we were asked by Motorola to bring in the Motorola bag phone. And so these 4 guys, I think I had about the 5th phone on the continent. And isn't it ironic that I go back to America, get back on the fire department, and then have a pretty bad accident, and I end up going to chiropractic school. And in 2010, got involved in functional neurology. So that's the beginning of the story. But where things really changed for me was in 1999, when I graduated from chiropractic school, I could not hold my cell phone. One day it was just like, this is like a hot potato. I'd hold it, it made my hand burn, I'd make this hand burn, and when I'd go to put it to my head, it just created pain in my head. And it wasn't until the 2000s, actually, I'd say about 25 years ago, that we started looking into, what is this? No one could figure out what this was. 2000, where we're in 25 now. So back about 10 years ago, I was working a lot with concussion and other traumatic brain injuries. And I had this guy call me that worked at Intel, and you've heard of Ryan. Ryan's our 3-year case study. He worked at Intel on a floor that had not 220 electrical panels, but 440 electrical panels, and there was 250 of them on the floor. And he had to be grounded in a special suit and so forth. He worked there for 10 years, and then one day he couldn't get out of his vehicle. He was functionally impaired, drove up to Intel, and all of a sudden it was just like the life was sucked out of him, barely made a phone call to his wife, was able to drive around the corner, and then collapsed. And they took him to the hospital, and they found nothing wrong with him. He spent a total of 15 months in a wheelchair, and no one could figure out what was wrong with him. They called it anxiety, they called it depression, they called it vertigo, but they didn't get to the source of the issue. And in Ryan's case, he was sitting, in recovery at his home with his laptop on his lap, his iPad, the remote control, watching TV, and he had a really poor digital hygiene. His digital environment was still sucking the life out of him, but he wasn't in such a situation that he couldn't function a little bit. When he came to us, he was in a wheelchair on a Friday night. We did all of our diagnostics. Monday morning, I picked him up from the car in the wheelchair. Tuesday night, he pushed the wheelchair down. He never used it again. And those are the kind of results that we got because we looked at things differently than other physicians look at things. But Ryan, when we did the HRV, he tested out he's a 41-year-old man. And he had a very, very, very low score on HRV. And the same with WAVI. He tested, I think, as a 72-year-old man. We actually did a lecture at University of Colorado Boulder, and our illustrious guest taught at University of Colorado Denver, which we're going to talk about Dr. Prasad in just a moment. But this case study, we presented our 3-year case study, and the neurologists there were blown away. So that's how we got started in this. But 10 years ago, my wife, Jonette, brought me a product, and it looked something like this. This was the original military package that Dr. Kedar Prasad created. In fact, it still says military micronutrient formulation. Mm-hmm. And she brought me this, and she said, hey, I'm going to go down and meet this scientist in Utah, and we lived in Oregon, and we weren't married at that time, but she said, I'm going to go and meet this scientist because I think this product is amazing, and we got to find out more about it. And so she met Dr. Prasad and came back and asked me, what do you think of it? Well, in the original box, it looked like everything else that I had in my cabinet, but it was so far from that. So, you know how it is when you're dating somebody. I took it, I looked at it, I put it in my cabinet. And when she came back, she's like, do you feel better? How do you feel? Is your brain brighter? Are you feeling good? Do you have any pain? What's going on? And I said, I feel the same. And she goes, you don't feel any extra energy? You don't feel, fantastic? I said, no, I feel the same. She goes, open up your file cabinet and put it in your mouth. So, busted there. But Dr. Prasad and I started that relationship, a decade ago in 2015. And in 2020, Dr. Prasad and I and you were at the Oregon Chiropractic Convention when really history changed.
Yes.
Because Dr. Prasad and I got to speak together about the formulation that he had. And then that night at dinner, Jonette gave Dr. Prasad a package of the research that she had been collecting from all over the world. So at dinner, we gave him our packet of information. And 3 months later, he came back and he said this, and I'll never, ever forget what he said. He said, Dr. Kort, what you and Jonette have uncovered, I believe, is going to be the biggest catastrophic health crisis our planet has ever seen. And then he said, so I'm going to enhance the military formula. I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Dr. Kedar Prasad. And Dr. Prasad is, I'm just going to read a couple of accolades out of our science brochure. Dr. Prasad is the world's first PhD radiation biologist. He graduated from the University of Iowa in 1963. It's important for the Brain Tap Nation to know that Dr. Prasad's not your ordinary student. He graduated 4.5 years ahead of his class for the PhD. He then wondered what he was going to do, and they said, don't worry, you're going to Brookhaven National Laboratories, where he was on the team that, part of the team that discovered L-DOPA for Parkinson's. Dr. Prasad himself discovered the anti-cancer potency of vitamin E succinate. He also discovered butyric acid. It's a small fatty acid that formed by fermentation fibers in the gut that is also an anti-cancer agent. Dr. Prasad taught at the University of Colorado School of Medicine in Denver, Colorado, for 33 years. During that time, he was financed by the National Institute of Health.
Yes.
For up to $1 million per year for his work. He was the former president of the International Society of Cancer and Nutrition. He sat on the Nobel Prize nominating committee in 1982. Is that correct, Dr. Prasad?
Yes.
1982 for candidates in medicine. And he's written a few papers over the course of his tenure. Dr. Prasad has authored 35 textbooks. He has published more than 250 peer-reviewed articles and continues to publish. And he is listed in PubMed over 450 times. It's with great reverence that I'd like to introduce to the Brain Tap Nation, Dr. Kedar Prasad.
Yes, Dr. Prasad, you're a treasure for the world. Thank you for sharing your knowledge here. Tell us a little bit about what was your motivation in doing this. I mean, you kind of explained it there, but still, I mean, you're 91 years young. Most people would be out on the golf course, maybe putting and chipping and doing their thing and saying, the heck with all this for the world, I've done my part. You've obviously have a big input into the healing networks that are out there in the world today, and supplementation as well as other things. So what drives you, what motivates you to get up in the morning and continue?
First, when I was in India and I saw the explosion of atom bomb in Nagasaki, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and I felt very bad. Then I thought at that time that maybe I should develop some product that can protect people against radiation damage. And for that, then when I graduated from a master's degree and came to the United States University of Iowa in 1960, to study radiation biology. And there I did develop some product which protects rat and mice against radiation damage, but human was not toxic. And then slowly, I read an article by Linus Pauling. As you know, he's the only 2 Nobel laureate, one in chemistry, another on peace. He published a paper showing that high dose of single vitamin C is an anti-cancer agent. But people said, no, that can't be true, because there was no mechanism of studying it. But I thought that, he's a 2 Nobel laureate, he can't be that wrong. So I tested vitamin C alone on my cell system, which I was working on neuroblastoma cell in culture. As you know, it is a childhood brain cancer, very malignant one, working. And sure enough, I saw vitamin C kill cancer cell, but not normal cell. I could not explain the mechanism, but I further extended that when you use vitamin C in combination with X-ray or gamma radiation or chemotherapeutic agent, it enhances their effect on cancer cell while protecting the normal cell. So I said, that's very interesting. Then I said, how about vitamin E succinate? Is there other vitamin E can do the same thing? So I asked my technician to order, as you know, vitamin E acetate form is most commonly used, or just alpha-tocopherol in a study. So my technician ordered 5 different types of vitamin E, and among them, vitamin E succinate form was very potent anti-cancer effect. And then I did again a study combination with the X-ray, and chemotherapeutic agent and enhanced the effect of radiation and chemotherapeutic agent on cancer cell while protecting the normal cell. So that was very good, but nobody believed that. So it was lying idle for a long time. Then one day, this is during last 2 years, one day it occurred to me that how is cancer cell require a specific nutrient for survival? So I did a literature search and found, yes, cancer cell require 2 nutrients for survival and growth. One is glucose, one is glutamine. And then I said, yeah, that's very interesting. Then I said, maybe high-dose antioxidant, not low-dose. High-dose antioxidant blocks the uptake of glucose and glutamine in cancer cell, but not normal cell. Indeed, we found that individual antioxidant, some of them block the glucose uptake and metabolism, some of them block the glutamine uptake and metabolism. So I said, well, then we have to develop a high-dose multiple antioxidant. And that's why we developed it, and that's why I got patented. In the meanwhile, Engage Global has many customers who were having a cancer issue. And so I said, with consultation with oncology, I give you a transient protocol, which involves high dose of microdaily EMF, normal dose, increase that 3 times. So 3 times in the morning after breakfast, 3 times at lunch, and 3 times after dinner. And take a probiotics with prebiotics, because intestinal dysbiosis means increased number of harmful bacteria and decline in the number of beneficial bacteria. That contributes to almost all human diseases, including cancer. So I said, take both. And the result has been, you would not believe it, is my experience right now, what I had, close to 50 patients, they are all. Some of them got radiation and chemotherapy, some did not, and all of them are free of cancer.
That's great. That's great news, because so many people hear the death knell. But I want you to explain, so before we got on the call, we were kind of talking a little bit backstage before we started the podcast, and you shared with us what was happening to the cells and why, people think it's this invisible thing. They think people are crazy when you think about EMF, and because
Yes.
not everybody is so sensitive. So
Yeah.
tell us what's going on when that cell tower comes up and you start getting flu-like symptoms and you're getting headaches, and you think you go to your doctor and he gives you some kind of weird medicine that's supposedly going to help it, but all these people are running around with this low-level irritation in their body. You were explaining it so perfectly. I said, we got to get that on the podcast. So if you can go back through that again, that'd be awesome.
You can't avoid it. I will just give you briefly the story. Remember, in the newspaper, you must have read Havana syndrome. And at that time, Department of Defense thought that it is a communist-oriented, some kind of attack. Then it becomes Chinese syndrome. Some people, not all, in the embassy, some people got sick, like Dr. Kort. Then Chinese syndrome, and then Washington syndrome, because some people in Washington. So the government appointed a different discipline, scientists from different discipline, and examined what are the causes of this. 100 scientists got together and worked for 6 months and came to a conclusion: it is most likely EMF radiation. So EMF radiation, then still, it reminded me early 1960, when tobacco smoking, many scientists were saying, no, it is harmless, and so on and so forth. And later on, the consequence. Same thing is happening today. But there was a study in North Carolina that supported by NIH, that in animal model, where you can control what level of EMF radiation, what is this distance, what is the absorption rate of the EMF radiation, all are controlled. Human, it is impossible to control that. And so they found that increased risk of cancer in animal who received this EMF radiation. Not 5G, it was like a 3,000, the level of EMF radiation much lower than 5G. But in any case, so it was solid. Even the International Cancer Agency has defined EMF radiation as a carcinogen, to be carcinogen, as you know. Now, the question is how it acts on your body, because you can't avoid it. Children, you can see that you can't take away their cell phone. And so the question is what kind of damage it does and how we can protect them. Some damage is common, like it produces free radical, just like ionizing radiation, just like UV ultraviolet radiation. Thing. And it is damaging, as you know. But it has a unique function that no other ionizing radiation or non-ionizing radiation shares, that it vibrates the charged particles in your body. And when they vibrates it, they become very sensitive to damage. And that's why you see hypersensitivity. And as soon as you take antioxidant, for example, they donate electron to positively charged particles and they become neutral. So now they can get vibrated and you feel better, just like Dr. Kort feels after that. So this is very important. And that's why with all children and adult, everybody should have this formulation that we have developed with EMF. The gummy that we have is exactly the same as EMF, but the dosage is very small to be adequate for the children. So conceptually, they are the same except the dosage. So I think I recommend personally that that's the only choice you have. There is no other way you can reduce the damage of EMF radiation. And there is no way you can take your children or yourself or myself to reduce it. If you are adult, you try to reduce it, but children, they're all the time looking at it.
Right.
Can't.
Yeah.
The second best thing is
post that
to reduce
information
the
about
damage.
these products. So, Dr. Kort, if you can hold up what he's talking about so they can see it, because I know you have the products there. So there's products for kids. Sometimes they won't take things, but gummies make it almost irresistible to kids. So they'll do the
tastes
gummies
good.
and they'll get their thing. And I know that a lot of people don't know how free radicals work. And I know Dr. Kort has a really fun way of saying it. So maybe, Dr. Kort, you can tell people, what is this free radical thing going on in the body and why should they care? They don't understand that these signals the body's trying to pick up and do something with, they're actually telling the body to repair, right? Or they're telling when you're getting hit with 50 million pulses per second, the body doesn't know what to do with it. And that's what you're talking about. It stirs up the energy and creates these free radicals. But a lot of listeners might not understand how free radicals work in the body. And I know Dr. Kort, he's done it from the stage before. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's happening in the body and why this works.
Well, regarding what's going on with the human body regarding EMF, this is a biological toxin that we can't see, touch, smell, taste, hear, but some of us, like myself, can feel it. And people ask me all the time, why is it that you feel this and I don't? And this is where physicians need to look at what we call the exposome and look at the history of the person that they're speaking to. And that's very, very important to look at mold, to look at Lyme, to look at concussions, to look at, this history that we skip through. And I'm talking going all the way back. Even snoring has an effect on it because snoring is sleep suffocation. And both Jonette and I teach at a Sleep Balance Academy. But the symptoms, and I want to make sure I answer your question appropriately so you can guide me through that. The symptoms of EMF hypersensitivity are like what I alluded to before, and like Dr. Prasad just alluded with the Havana syndrome and all the other syndromes. It is concussion-like symptoms, including anxiety, depression, brain fog, tinnitus, headaches, migraines, coordination issues, vertigo. These are all symptoms that are associated with not only EMF hypersensitivity, but so many other conditions. And that's why it's such an enigma to people.
Yeah, I think they don't understand, and he's written a couple books I want you to share too, that it shows up as sooner or later the weakest link is going to be hit. So it could be Parkinson's, it could be diabetes, it could be different regions of the body that get hit. But the real cause, they can treat the symptom, what we call downstream, and they can give them something to mask the pain or the suffering, but it's not doing anything to heal the body because the body needs nutrients to heal. It needs time. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we also have to look at, again, what's the behavior of the person. So, for instance, my daughter was going to go to a high school and there were 5,000 students in the high school. How many of those students have a cell phone? 5,000 students. And there's about 500. And then how many of those students carry a Chromebook that only runs on Wi-Fi? 5,000. So you're now at 10,000 devices. And then of the 500 classrooms, every classroom has a router in the ceiling that points down at their head. And then every teacher, 500 teachers, have a cell phone and a Chromebook. So you're looking at over 11,500 devices that all run on Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi doesn't go around us, Dr. Porter, it goes into us. And the symptoms are so innocuous, like I said, anxiety and depression. How many kids do you know today that don't have anxiety and depression? And what do? We medicate them, but we don't take them out of the environment that made them sick in the first place. Brain fog. EMF is a state of shock. And if we go back to like the medical world, the first phase of shock is disbelief, where you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel so weak. I feel foggy. If you're typing, I know this has happened to all of us. We're sitting there working on a paper and our hands are getting slow. We're not able to continue typing. The second phase of shock is irritation and agitation. And then the third phase of shock is loss of consciousness. And so we're seeing this in our schools. We're seeing this in our workplaces. We're seeing this in people that are driving electric cars. We're seeing this everywhere. But what can we do about it?
You ask about free radicals. Free radical is nothing but the atom or molecule with unpaired electron. And when they have an unpaired electron, they call free radicals. And they can be derived from the oxygen, they can be derived from the nitrogen. But oxygen, once they form the free radicals, different types of free radicals, then they attack all cell kinds in your body. And if oxidative damage of the cell, free radical induced damage to the cell, cannot fully repaired, generally they don't, because if you're at a high level of free radicals, then chronic inflammation sets in motion. Chronic inflammation will not only produce additional free radicals, but they also produces pro-inflammatory cytokines, many which are very damaging to you. And so free radical has a consequences. It is not just free radical. Free radical initiate a lot of other kind of cellular damage. And therefore, it is better to stop free radicals right in the beginning by taking our product like microdata EMF.
It's like, just like I tell people, our brain is not designed for the world we're in now. Our body isn't designed. Our nutrition wasn't designed for the world we live in. So when people are going, why doesn't my doctor tell me about this? Because they were trained 30 years ago and they had 4 hours and maybe a lunch meeting about nutrition. And, and they think that there's a pill for every ill. What we're talking about here is supplementing the body, because there's always been free radicals, right? I mean, These are always been there, but our body was able to handle it because we have a really smart immune system. Yeah. But when we bombard, instead of having the little amount of free radicals we might have had through let's say a nutritious Aborigine diet or something like that, and then now we go to processed foods and sugar,
exactly.
The body's not designed to do that. So tell us a little bit about, and I want to talk about Parkinson's, because we just finished up a study in Brazil also with brain tap with Parkinson's, and I know you have a book about it. But a lot of people don't understand.
No, I think the Parkinson's, here is the thing. When you have increased oxidative stress in your body, then alpha-synuclein is normally present. It has a normal function. But what happens, if your body have increased oxidative stress, they start producing more alpha-synuclein protein. And when they get aggregated, they causes a damage to the substantia nigra, the dopamine neuron. And so if you prevent the oxidative stress, then you don't develop the increased number of alpha-synuclein, they don't get aggregated, and they don't get Parkinson's. It's simple, really. Because right now, the treatment of Parkinson's disease, they treat the symptoms, not the causes of the disease. For example, treatment of L-Dopa or L-Dopa with other combination with other medications, they treat symptoms. But they also, after a few years, they accumulate and they get oxidized and produce a lot of free radical in the brain, and the Parkinson's disease symptoms become worse after 5 years because you did not take care of the causes of the disease, which was oxidative stress. So if you treat the people with Parkinson's disease which already have it, or you want to prevent it, Then you have to have a core 4 that we have, and I have been talking this core 4 why. Each steps, even for example, at the advanced stage of the disease, they have a abnormal behavior, hallucination, agitations, and so for that we recommend take the CBD, and CBD is the only agent. Right now, if you have anxiety, depression, they recommend Prozac, and some other medication, and they act as and the reason it produces some benefit, but it has toxicity. And the reason they work it because it acts as an inhibitor of serotonin reuptake. So your serotonin level is high. But the CBD does the same thing without any toxicity. Not only that, CBD also increases the synthesis, formation of a new serotonin molecule. So it has a double advantage. Also, in addition to that, CBD also increases by stimulating the D2 receptor of dopamine, so increases the dopamine level, which makes you kind of happy and relaxed. Not only that, but third, very important, CBD does, it prevents the formation and release of glutamate, which makes you hyperactive and all kind of, problem. And so under that condition, in advanced cases, we also recommend, in addition to core 4, we also recommend this.
Tell us a little bit about CBD, though, because a lot of people are afraid to take CBD because they think it's linked to THC. So
it is not addictive. It has been isolated, the hemp plant, which has 0.3% THC, but it is highly purified, tested by third party. There is no trace of THC, and it is not addictive. Nobody. It is the FDA approved drug to be given to children with the seizure. It is very, very non-toxic, really. And, if you take very long time, like if you take it 500 or for a long period of time, it might affect the degradation of metabolism of drug that you are taking for other reasons. So, but within a 200 milligram level, there's no toxicity.
Hey, this has been a great conversation, guys. I think let's segue a little bit to the solution. You have some research you've done together that actually is some groundbreaking research. I've never seen it before. We're talking about a lot of people talking about the problem out there, screaming from the mountaintops. There's a problem, but nobody really has a solution. And you have some patented products. And doing the patent process isn't easy. I've gone through it myself with electronics. It's not an easy thing. You got to prove out a lot of things. And you have quite a few patents. You've got a lot of research. I want Dr. Kort to kind of take us on a little journey of this discovery, and then let's go through each of these products so they understand that these are not just products I'm talking about. These are products I take every day because we live in an emergency situation. We're at war. Our body's at war with itself, and it's being triggered by an outside source. We need to build our immunity. We need to build our basically our war chest, and it's not going to happen by accident. It's going to happen by a plan. And I know Dr. Kort and Dr. Prasad, you guys have put together a great plan. It's been working for a lot of people that I know that take the product, that I take the product. So tell us a little bit about what your research showed, and we'll share that in the research notes, the whole research, that people can get to, and we'll put links to it. And hopefully even that video you talked about earlier, Dr. Kort, if you have one like that would be interesting for them, for those that want to follow up and learn even more.
I can certainly tell you where to get that, Dr. Porter. Well, my name is Dr. Russ Kort, and I have worked tirelessly pioneering work that's uncovered the innate sequence of healing through ancient pathways in the brain that are ultimately coordinated in the brain stem, specifically at night. I currently, both myself and my wife Jonette, sit on the Sleep Balance Academy. We work in sleep medicine, and we recently, as you know, was published in the New York Post on my story. And so that's really where we're going to start, is how did we meet? Dr. Prasad and I met as a result of my wife Jonette going down and meeting with him in Utah and seeing what an amazing scientist he is. And the product that he had was like nothing ever that we had ever seen before. There's a lot of products out there that are good, but there are few products out there that are phenomenal. And that's what Dr. Prasad has created over his lifetime. Now, I just want to share a little bit about Dr. Prasad. Dr. Prasad is the world's first PhD radiation biologist. He taught at University of Colorado for 33 years. During that time, he had an NIH grant every year for up to $1 million. He is being the world's first PhD radiation biologist. I think it's important, and I love to tell people that he didn't graduate first in his class. He graduated 4.5 years ahead of his class, and then he was sent to Brookhaven National Laboratories, where he was on a team that was the discoverers of L-DOPA for Parkinson's, which we're going to get into. But I want to get right down to the nitty-gritty and the science here, because Dr. Prasad was actually called by the Department of Defense following the Twin Towers coming down 9/11. And he was asked this specific question: Dr. Prasad, we know about your formula. What we want to know is, can your formula protect against radiation, biowarfare, and extreme stress under warlike situations? So this one man, Dr. Prasad, said, yes, I believe the formula that I made for my students can protect against radiation, biowarfare, and extreme stress. And they said, do you have anything to prove it? And he says, yeah, I have this really cool fly study that we did. You see, we genetically modified fruit flies to get lymphocytic leukemia when we exposed them to proton radiation. I don't know of another person on the planet that thinks that way, but here was the result. Dr. Prasad made a nectar, and the fruit flies that drank the nectar and then were exposed to the proton radiation, Dr. Prasad, they never got the cancer, did they?
Yep.
And was it just a few of the fruit flies? Or was it all of them?
It
was all of them. 100% of the fruit flies never got the cancer.
Yep.
And the general there looked at Dr. Prasad and said, that's it? That's all you got? And he goes, are you kidding me? I became really famous with that. So Dr. Prasad, this one man, I want you to understand who he is and his tenacity to help save humanity. Dr. Prasad went and lectured 17 times to the scientists at the Department of Defense, flying from Denver to Washington 17 times. Then he got passed on to Congress. And he went 17 times to Congress explaining about the one formula that he already had and that he believed it could protect against radiation, biowarfare, and extreme stress. After those 17 times, he was then passed on to compete against. Who did you compete against for that grant?
Whole country.
Merck, Pfizer, all these other companies. Dr. Prasad writes a 66-page grant and submits it. And as a private citizen, he's given $12.5 million for proving the formula that he already had could protect against radiation, biowarfare, and extreme stress. And he said, I'm not going to do this by myself. I'm going to team up with some experts. So he teamed up with NASA, the Department of Defense, the Navy, and the Marines, and they conducted 14 clinical studies, 7 animal studies and 7 human studies. But when he got the $12.5 million, he also got another $11.5 million in private funding. Is that correct, Dr. Prasad?
Yes, yes.
So with that money, they conducted 14 clinical studies, 7 animal and 7 human. The 7 animal studies were done in between 2003 and 2004. They were done on flies, mice, rats, rabbits, and sheep. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And we found that as the animal got bigger, even though they were fatally dosed, they lived longer. And I'm just going to show you an interesting picture. This is one of the studies that we did on rabbit lung. And what it showed, and I'm going to do it briefly because it's not too gross, but what it showed was that the rabbit that got the formulation just an hour and a half before the dose had perfect lungs, whereas the other rabbit did not. This had to be done in order to prove so that we could move on to the human studies. Then the human studies were started in 2004, and the human studies were then completed in 2005, and in 2006, the microdaily formula was put into the military. And this is what it looked like, folks. This is an original package of the military micronutrient formulation. And unlike other formulations, Dr. Prasad determined that you needed to take 2 of the product in the morning and 2 of the product in the evening. The reason for this was, and Dr. Prasad, you can probably explain it better than I can, but the degradation of the nutrition in the afternoon, we needed a bump to carry us through the night where we get our restorative sleep and recover. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and what we did, we did run a clinical study in Marine Corps who gets training, 18-year-old kid get training in Palm 29, who has terrible atmosphere and their noise and all kind of warfare technique. And so one group got our formula, another got group for placebo. And the idea was that do they suffer oxidative stress? Because during training, many trainees leave because of serious illness. And but we ran a 90 days study and found out that after 90 days, the placebo group had very high level of oxidative stress, and those who ever took has zero. And so at least on a human level, this is the first demonstration. Then Dr. Hoffer, who was the captain of Navy in San Diego Medical Center, where all the veteran goes for treatment, he said, yeah, I will try on my veterans who are returning from war in Iraq and Afghanistan with traumatic brain injury, showing the symptom of dizziness and balancing problem. So I said, yeah. So he got IRB approval from the Navy and started experiment. Again, for always 90 days. But after 2 weeks, nurse was complaining, it is blinded study. One group got a standard therapy, another group got a standard therapy plus micronutrient EMF. And so after a couple of weeks, nurse saying to Dr. Hoffer, some people are doing better, I don't know why. And so after that 90 days, when the code was open, those who were on both our formulation, micronutrient, and standard therapy did much, much better on all those criteria. And he has a quantitative way of measuring balancing problem and dizziness and so on. And he presented this work in the International Congress on Audiology, this report. So there was one study there, human study. Another human study was that a private practice audiologist in Nashville, and people had a lot of veterans who has a problem of a tinnitus or tinnitus. And so that was the only thing she was treating it. And then she treated it for 6 months, and they all, 70% of them, markedly improved the symptoms of, so now they can sleep better and so on and so forth. So there was one human trial.
The things I want to point out to the listeners, I know a lot of people that formulate nutrients, they don't test anything. They take the testing that's on the shelf and they say, hey, this vitamin C, this vitamin D, this vitamin E does this.
Right, exactly.
And they don't spend $23 million or whatever it is, or $24 million that you did to perfect a formula. So this is really key, that for something that is already proven to work, that you got to you have to spend that much money to reapprove it, to jump through those hoops. And still today, people question it. It's incredible to me. I mean, most people don't realize there's no real regulation in the nutrition world.
And also very important to show that my initial goal was to develop radiation protection. They protected the animal, mice. We did the experiment with mice. And now the question was, how about diagnostic radiation? We go for many purposes. So there was a study with European, and we provided the formula, the antioxidant component of the microdaily, and they did a CT scan. And after CT scan, they found that if you don't give anything, just normal patient, and measure the lymphocyte after CT scan, and they found there was a lot of damage, double breaks of DNA damage.
Most people don't realize you can only get 30 CT scans in your lifetime.
Yeah, and so
some people are going every month to get them.
But people ignore it because this is that people repair probably. But when they give a antioxidant formula that we provided them, and there was a dramatic reduction of DNA damage. Same experiment in human, and he published this work in Radiology Journal, as you know, is a Bible for radiologists.
Well, Dr. Prasad and I actually just wrote a paper on this, and we're going to be publishing it very shortly.
Yes.
And it was, it was that study, Dr. Prasad, and there's things that I remember about the work that you and I have done over the years, and, we can talk about that on another podcast. But when we looked at this study, this was a Nuremberg study. What Dr. Prasad found was that when they gave the formulation just an hour before the exposure in humans, they found that it did not cause any, well, no, sorry, let me back it up. Before we gave the formula, we showed double-strand DNA breaks in the lymphocytes.
Yes.
And Dr. Prasad did not just take that data. He said, I wonder what happens in 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. And what he found was that it was 5 hours of continuous double-strand DNA breaks in the lymphocytes. However, when he gave one dose of the original formulation, it decreased the double-strand breaks by 58%.
Yeah.
And so the paper that we've just written is the protocol that I used for a decade ago in my office doing upper cervical films. And what I did was I gave the patient the microdaily, it wasn't the EMF formula at that time, but I gave them the microdaily hydro before I made my X-ray exposure. Then I gave them another dosage after I made my X-ray exposure. And then I sent them home with a 4-day palliative dosage. And nearly 100% of the people came back and said, Dr. Kort, how do I get that? I feel so different on that formulation. How do I get that?
Yeah.
So that Nuremberg study was really amazing. We also did a really interesting study on Dr. Porter with firefighters in Denver. I wasn't part of that.
That's right. Yeah.
And this is such a cool study because we did the study with, was it 77 firefighters, Dr. Prasad?
Yes.
So 2 teams of 77 firefighters. And he wasn't doing this on his own. It was a 12-month study done with Dr. Boone, who's the cardiologist for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
77 firefighters got the formulation Dr. Prasad created, and 77 firefighters got Lipitor. And here's what happened. In 12 months, we beat out Lipitor by a bit. But more importantly, Dr. Prasad, tell us what happened not only with the oxidative stress and inflammation, but also what happened with the carotid artery and the intima.
Yeah, because that's why the lipid profile was as good as Lipitor. So that's not new. But the carotid artery thickness, they formed the plaque.
The intima.
They are plaque on the carotid artery. If you are taking the Lipitor, they will continue to form gradually. But in case of our product, when the people were on our product, there was no plaque formation. This was unique function of and also, so Dr. Boone started calling it is a poor man's Lipitor, our product.
But it doesn't have the side effects. Now, most people don't realize when they get a blood test, they're only looking at 23% of their blood. The rest of their blood's in the capillaries and all that.
And he was measuring with ultrasound, all those things, you know.
So I think we're running out of time. I know we could talk forever, but I want you to go through the products. I want you to tell them about each of the products, how they would take them in doses. Like, what would be the protocol? You've already set a protocol for if somebody's going under some stress because of health scares with cancer or Parkinson's and things of that nature. But tell us how the everyday user can benefit from this and what's the protocol. I mean, I know what I do every day, but I'm going to up mine now after this talk, so that.
Right. Well, and the other thing that I wanted to share with you real quickly, Dr. Porter, was that there were 7 patents derived from Dr. Prasad's work. And those patents, all the human studies ended up with different patents, including a patent on management and treatment of diabetes. And when we look at, fasting, or when we look at high blood sugar, the numbers are staggering. So the products that Dr. Prasad has created, and this is really, really important, is what we call our Core 4. And he's got a few other products as well, but these are the big ones that are really, really, really important. The first is the Microdaily. And originally, we had the Microdaily capsules, and you take 3 of those twice a day. You take it in the morning, and then you take it in the evening with supper to carry you through. Because one of the patents is that our formula decreases oxidative stress and inflammation simultaneously. And it's imperative that we decrease the oxidative stress and inflammation. If you don't take the capsules, you take 2 hydros. There's 3 capsules in each one of these products, and that's what I used in my clinic. Now, Very, very important is the microdaily combined with Dr. Prasad's soon-to-be patented probiotic and prebiotic. Dr. Prasad, do you want to explain why this is so important?
Because intestinal dysbiosis, that everybody has it as you grow older, and that produces a lot of toxic chemical, and that contributes to the initiation and progression of all kind of human diseases. And the only way you can reverse that effect of intestinal dysbiosis, taking a probiotics with prebiotics, that we have it. And also the probiotics is, we have two the probiotics which are very heat and acid resistance. That's very important. Otherwise, most of the bacillus and this also become, they are very sensitive. Normal amount of bacteria that you found out, and lactobacillus and bifido, they are very sensitive to acid pH. 60 to 70% are destroyed. So we added two. One is Saccharomyces boulardii, another is I forgot what was that, the Bacillus coagulant. Bacillus coagulant and Saccharomyces boulardii. These two are acid resistance and heat resistance. So that's why it is very effective.
It's so important to think about our digital hygiene. You know, we stick our phone against our head. Very, very important. Then we point it at our thyroid, we point it at our heart, and we point it at our small intestine. And bad bacteria loves radio frequencies.
Right.
In addition to that, the next product that is amazing, and this really stemmed from what we did during COVID, because we were using the 2-to-1 DHA over EPA and gave you a couple of cases of the fish oil that we were using. Tell us why this omega-3 is going to be patented.
It's very important because, as you know, these fatty acids is easily oxidized and become dysfunctional. So if you have in your body or in your brain have a high oxidative stress, then it becomes non-functional. And therefore, it is very important to supplement with the good omega-3. And 2-to-1 ratio is very important because DHA is very important for brain. 40% of fatty acid in the brain is DHA. And so it is very important to have a normal level, normal functioning DHA. EPA is very important for your heart function. And 2-to-1 ratio has been tested clinically, and so it has been very effective.
And then you also put GLA, ALA, and vitamin E tocopherol in it.
Vitamin E tocopherol is simply to make sure it doesn't get oxidized because they are very easily oxidizable. ALA you get from the diet, but the rate of the conversion of ALA to DHA and EPA is very, very slow. Therefore, you have to have a omega to have a quick replacement of bad omega.
And the GLA?
And a small amount of GLA is added because a small amount is very important for function, but high amount causes oxidative stress, inflammation, oxidative stress. So we have given a tiny amount so that it is essential for your health.
I got to tell you, Dr. Porter, this product is amazing. You know, I'm wearing glasses, but they're just a lens to protect my eyes from the radiation from the computer. But when I started taking this product, I started seeing my vision clear, and I was in a 2.5 prescription, and now I don't need glasses to read, and I had a slight cataract in my left eye, which is completely gone. This has been over the last couple of years. Absolutely love this product, and the probiotic and the omega are going to be patented at any time. Yeah. Now, one of my other most favorite products that we need to talk about is our patented collagen formulation. Now, collagen, everybody's got a collagen, but there are no collagens that I know of that are actually patented. And the reason is that Dr. Prasad wanted to know, why is it that our body starts to break down our collagen after the age of 40? And when we look at how important this is, 30% of our body is made of collagen. Even our brain, our organs, our skin suit. So Dr. Prasad, tell us, why is this so special, and what did you do? Because it got patented almost as soon as it was released. Within a year, this was patented.
Because collagenase enzyme degrades the collagen. And so I said, we have to find the inhibitor of collagenase so that whatever new formation of collagen stay there for a longer period of time. And found two. One was the amla extract, another was white tea extract. They had the inhibitor of collagenase, and combination was more effective than individual one. So we added these two product inhibitors of collagenase, and so now it is unique.
I love this product. I use it twice a day. I actually do bone broth in the morning, and I put my collagen in it, and I put a little fiber in it, and that gets me started in the morning. It's really good.
Yeah, and interesting thing is that when you lose collagen in the skin, you see it, but you don't see in your brain. So there was a study in older people who have some dementia but not Alzheimer, 60 years old, and they found that on MRI, the certain area of brain was shrinking, and they have a cognitive dysfunction. And so he put it, a clinical study for 90 days, put 5 grams a day, only 5 grams a day, these collagen peptides, and found that after 90 days, did the MRI again, structure improved, cognitive function improved. Also, there are 28 different types of collagen, and each cell has their own way of making it. Even recently, I reviewed an article on hearing disorders, published it, and they found that even 2, 4, and collagen 9 are present in the ear. And if they are decreased, that initiate your hearing loss. So maintaining is very important, not only for all organs, it's very important, collagen. I don't think many people realize that. They say, collagen, but
a lot of people look for taste. They just want to get taste. Sometimes, I think it tastes great. I can put it in my teas or coffee if I want to, or I try to put it in anything that I'm drinking that I
Any way you can take it, exactly.
Well, Dr. Porter, your birthday is the day before mine, and
oh, really?
2 years and the day before, on August 10th, and I'm August 11th. But look at how great we look at 60 and 62, or are you 63 now?
I'm 64 now.
I was looking before that. I was looking much better before by accident.
Yes, you look like the youngest one on the call, Doctor.
It's true at 90. This is the last product that we have a few other products that I really love to share with you, but because of time constraints, we can't. So the products that we talked about, the Microdaily EMF comes in both the capsules or in a really yummy lemonade tasting drink, which Dr. Porter and I both use it when we fly. And it's patented for EMF protection against 4G and 5G radiation. There's not another product on the market that's patented for 4G and 5G radiation that I know of.
Yeah.
But this one, Dr. Prasad, the children's gummy, we didn't know about making gummies or how challenging it would be to make a gummy, or the fact that Dr. Prasad will not budge, skimp, or bend on the way he wants something made.
Yes.
And so these gummies are made with fruit pectin, not gelatin. These gummies could not be dried in an oven. We finally figured out to dry them on sheets with heat lamps. These gummies are the only patented children's formulation in the world for 4G and 5G radiation, and they taste great. Dr. Prasad, tell us, why is this so different?
It is different because just like EMF is different for other multiple vitamins, and it is same principle. We develop it. All ingredients are same as in EMF, but in the doses is very small to feed the children. And so that's why I recommend it.
How often do the children take these to get the maximum protection?
Yeah, 2. I think 2. Yeah, twice a day. Yeah, just like EMF, twice a day.
So
because the reason we always recommend twice a day, because the turnover of these things are variable, and by evening half of them is gone. If you take 1 dose in the morning, another half will be gone in the next morning. So you see a lot of variations. And when you have variation of the antioxidant, the genes, we have demonstrated that they alter quite a bit, and they up and down regulation. We tested actually 12,000 genes in my lab when I was in Denver, and did a variation of vitamin E, succinate, and found remarkable variations in gene expression. I didn't do myself. My postdoctoral fellow who was working in my lab did it. But that allows me that we have to do twice a day. Because many people ask why you are twice a day. So that the relative level of this is constant throughout your 24 hours. And you don't see as much genetic expression changes.
That's great. I know we could keep talking, guys, for another 2 days because I've been with you, and there could be a lot more exciting things. We're going to have you back again. You're one of our constant reminders that we have here. Now, there's a problem out there in the world. You know about it. Now we've given you a solution. We're on a mission to better 1 billion brains, and those brains not only need brain tap, they need nutrition. You know, the number one thing about brain health is nutrition. So we've got to get the brain the nutrition it needs. If the bodybuilder has the nutrition to build, you can build a mansion. But if you're expecting a mansion out of, plywood and extra parts, you're not going to get the body you want. If you want to have the life that, and it's not about really even living longer, it's about quality of life now. I remember being in Vegas when I had that some kind of reaction there, and you said, well, did you take, I said, I took the dose, and then you said, take more. When I took more, it's like, boom. So sometimes you got to kind of give yourself a little bit more to get things going. So we learned a lot about the products today, but the most importantly that I want people to learn is there's a solution, and it's affordable. And the links will be below in the show notes. Do you want to add something else before we end, Dr. Kort?
I do, Dr. Porter. I'm climbing out of my skin. My hat's about ready to pop off my head. I'm so excited. Listen, I take this before I do a brain tap, and it is amazing before you do a brain tap. This is my emergency essential. I don't travel without this. I can't travel without it because on aircraft, I get impaired. And so what we're offering, because you're listening to this program, is number one, we have 63 sessions on BrainTap Nation called Dr. EMF. And Dr. Porter recorded them. They are phenomenal sessions. So go check out the Dr. EMF sessions. Number two, free. Yep, free. A free gift from Dr. EMF. Go to dremf.com. That's DOCTOREMF.com. Sign up for our free webinar. And when you do that, there's a referral code called BrainTap. So put in BrainTap. What you're going to get is you're going to get a 30-minute consultation with either me or one of my team members to talk about how we can best serve you. And I work with Dr. Porter. I'm working for him. When you're talking to me, it's us sharing our knowledge. So I work for Dr. Porter. You're going to get a 30-minute consultation, and more importantly, you're going to get a free gift. You're going to get a sample of the microdaily EMF. And that's only for the first 100 people who come and go to dremf.com. So Dr. Porter, what do you think of those apples?
I think that's great. I think rewarding motivation is great. So you're one of the first 100 to go see it. We're going to share this with, we have 120,000 users. So let's see what 100 can get there first and get these free products. But I think everyone should use them. I use them every day. It's one of the things that I'm out there like you are, Dr. Kort and Dr. Prasad. We go to events, you see something new all the time. This is a tried and true thing. It's always with me. When somebody says they have radiation, I always pull it out of my bag and give them a few and say, hey, see what you feel like? I've never had anyone yet tell me they didn't get a lift. Because you feel this low-level angst, but you don't know what it is. It's probably EMF.
Dr. Porter, tell us about what happened on the aircraft when you and I came up with the idea of doing the microdaily before you got in the aircraft when you flew to London on your way to India.
Oh yeah, we did I have a scan where I didn't do anything. I just wanted to see what happens to your body when you get in an airplane. Because every hour in the air is like getting an x-ray, right? Well, when I landed the first time, I was 70% less energy. So I'm usually around 97, 99, most of the time. And so I leave thinking, all right. And I'm just sitting there. Flying to me is nothing. I mean, even if the plane was going down, I don't know if it would rattle me because I've been on so many flights. I thought I was fine. I measured myself. I went from my age being 31 or whatever to being a 64-year-old, and that was when I was only 61. So most people we measure actually are aging faster, 4 to 5 years faster than they are. And so what I decided to do is Dan DeBon, we work with Radiation Nation as well. So I said, I'm going to test it in a couple different ways. One, I did it just with the EMF medicine, or what the supplement. It's not really medicine, but with the formulation. And what I found was I didn't lose any energy. I actually landed with more energy than I left with, which is very uncommon, especially when you're flying overnight. What I tell people, it's because the body doesn't have the light exposure to tell the cells what to do. When you're under stress, they stay locked in that fight or flight. Yep. And, so now we have this freedom. And to me, it was proof. So when somebody says, what do I do for jet lag? I said, well, this is what I do before I get on the airplane. And if it's a longer flight now, if it's for more than 4 to 5 hours, I'll take it on the flight. If I'm having a meal or something, I'll pop a couple more in. And then when I land, I do 3 typically. But now I'm going to up that a little bit too, because I just went through a health crisis with my gallbladder. I need to get my body going in better ways. And I didn't even know there was something wrong with it. I was thinking it was my intestines, and all the time it was my gallbladder. So, I was doing everything I could, fasting and doing all these ways. And I think the other thing that we know is that everybody pretty much has bad gut flora and bacteria. You're 54% of that. There's more of that than there is of you. So if you don't take care of that, that's why it feels like you're carrying a body on your back all day long, is because you are. You're carrying a sick body inside of you. We need to get that body alive so it can do its part, because it's wanting to do it. We just need the right nutrients. So, of course, Dan also gave me a radiation jacket that I wear now that even makes it better, that I wear every time I fly now. It looks like I'm in a metal, inside it's kind of heavy because it has the silver lining, but it's worth it to wear it. Because airplanes are usually cold anyway, so you can have little jackets. There's things we can do. The solution here, guys, is there's not just a problem. What I love about the two of you, you don't just scream from the mountaintop, beware of this is a scary thing. But it is scary, because if you don't deal with it, your body will think it's normal to feel so bad.
Well, there's 4 keys to unlocking the healing cycle. The first key is reduce your exposure, which is what you just talked about on an aircraft. And it's hard to reduce your exposure on an aircraft. So the second key is nutrition, nutrients. And I've been in this game a long time, over 40 years, and I've never seen a nutrient formulation like Dr. Prasad's. And it's not one, it's, everything that he puts out is best in world. And that's why this is the formulation that I recommend to everybody.
I told you this before. We've measured hundreds of different supplements, especially ones that they say move the heart and do all that, because a lot of people are having trouble with the heart. Nothing that we've ever measured does what this product does. And I just tell people, you don't believe me, let's test you.
Yeah.
Here you are before. We're going to take this 15 minutes later. Let's test you. And every time it blows their mind. They go, I didn't do anything. Your body was doing a lot of things. Yeah. It needed the building blocks to do those.
And we didn't talk about the heart boost. We didn't have a chance to talk
about the heart boost. There's a lot of things we can talk about, and I know
next time.
Yeah. The third thing is wakeful activities and getting out and doing the activities that we need to do to get well. And the fourth thing is restorative sleep. And, Dr. Porter, I'm sure we'll do one on sleep at some point, but snoring and is sleep suffocation, and all bets are off if you spend your night suffocating trying to survive. So for me, Micro Daily, this product is an emergency essential. I don't go anywhere without it. It's in my truck, it's in my bag, it's every time I need some, I can take it. There's no contraindications to any medications. Right. And you can't say that about other nutrients. You just don't know. The products are designed to work with one another. They work beautifully, and they stair-step on one another for optimum health. But, for me, somebody who's sensitive to electromagnetic fields, Dr. Porter, that my HRV runs way over what others do. And, we prove it time and time again that if I'm functionally impaired, we take this product, I take this product, and within as short as 30 minutes, I'm back to 100%. And there's nothing like that I've ever seen move the needle of the HRV.
So we just need you to try it, and you can get on that list. Remember, we're going to put the list below. You can sign up, get a free sample, but trust me, you'll want to buy it. This is a product that is unlike anything we've tested at BrainTap.
Right.
A lot of times we take products, we don't see anything, and they say, well, it takes 3 months for you to get a result. Well, we know the nervous system shifts now. Right. If we can't measure it in the nervous system, it's not doing anything. It doesn't matter if you hit off outside of the nail 100 times, it doesn't mean it's ever going to hit the nail. You got to hit the nail on the head. They've hit the nail on the head with this product. It's going right to the source, making the changes that need to be made. So go do your research. They've done it for you. These are two of the most brightest minds. I've heard a lot of people talk about EMF and they just want to sell you something that you put in your room, and those can help. But I
Yeah,
mean, this is something you put in your body. You're going to
yeah,
get the greatest technology on earth, the human brain and the human physiology working for you instead of
yeah,
against you. So I recommend you do your research, share this with your family and friends because you're not the only one suffering right now. And a lot of people think it's something other than it is. It could be you're being poisoned by the electronic fields you're living in, whether it's in
yeah,
your home or a 5G tower. I mean, like you said, when you're on an airplane, you're on a tube full of people with their cell phones on. I mean, you're getting bombarded with radiation all the time. So if you're feeling sensitive about it, for sure, run, do not walk to your URL, the share below, and set up your time to talk to Dr. Kort because he can go over it with you. I don't have time to go over those with you, and I'm not as smart as they are. So you guys, you want to go to the smart people, get the information that you need, and we'll help you out. And again, this is a product I take every day. I don't remember a day that I didn't take it. When I was in the hospital, they asked me, "What are you taking?" I go, "Well, you're going to go give me a CT scan. This is my protection." They go, "What do you mean?" I said, "This product protects you against radiation." And that's when I said, "How many of these CT scans can you have?" And they go, "Well, you can only have like 3 in a year, but you can only have 30 in your lifetime." And they have people that are over that limit. And these are things that are diagnostic. So like you said, even as we get older, they want to take pictures of everything. And sometimes that can be the root cause of exacerbating the problem we
yeah,
had in the first place, that they're trying to help us. So sometimes the cure is worse than the condition, you know.
Well, and it's everywhere. Okay, so that we're not wearing metal hats. We're not screaming from the rooftops. But here's the bottom line: both ionizing and non-ionizing radiation are everywhere. I
yeah,
travel by vehicle all over the country. I see all the cameras. Every vehicle on the highway has Wi-Fi going through it. We all carry a phone. When Dr. Prasad and I started this, when I brought cell phones into Australia, there were no cell phones in America. It was a test market. And now everybody on the planet has a cell phone. And the
right.
average household average household of 4 has between 17 and 25 devices that run on Wi-Fi.
Of course.
But what most people don't know
Yeah,
is that this doesn't go through you. It doesn't go around you. It goes into you. And
yep,
that's where the cellular damage is created. And that's why this product is so important because it helps to repair cellular damage. The proof is in the pudding. 14 clinical studies, 7 animal studies, 7 human studies, which you can't do human studies unless you're working with the military.
yeah,
And then now we're at 10 patents. We have 3 more patents. And Dr. Prasad, we didn't even get to talk about your books. I'm so sorry.
that's
Next
okay. I
time,
mean, we
We're
will
gonna
have
have you
plenty of
back.
time.
He needs a whole 4-hour documentary.
Dr.
You know,
Prasad has 2 patents on diabetes. He has one pending. He has a patent pending on the treatment on the treatment of Parkinson's. He has a patent. He owns the only patent on high dose micronutrients in the treatment of cancer. When you hear these things, I know you're thinking, what? Exactly. What? Nobody has what this man's created, and he hasn't slowed down. He just created a men's formula and a women's formula for aging, and you have more in the pipeline.
Yes.
So thank you, Dr. Prasad.
well, thank
I'm
you,
so grateful
Dr.
you're in my
Prasad, for
life.
Thank you, Dr. Port,
not
for
just taking all your accolades and going and playing in the sun. You know, the world needs you and needs what you're doing now more than ever. So thank you, Doctor. If you're on the video, you'll see all the books that.
Okay,
Dr.
so yeah, these are just a couple of his books that I pulled off my shelf. This one's on Parkinson's and dementia and memory loss and Alzheimer's and fighting heart disease, which we talked about today, and concussion treatment, which we talked about today, and PTSD. And then some of my favorite. This is just light reading. The neurodegenerative diseases of micronutrients prevention and treatment, light reading. And then this one, micronutrients in the health and disease, second edition, Dr. Prasad. And these are big books. And this is only just a small snippet of the 35 textbooks because we actually wrote the foreword for, I think it was your 34th textbook. So, Dr. Prasad, you are a national treasure, and you have I love you.
Thank you very much.
You're
And
not
thank you,
gonna
Dr.
pass go.
Port.
You're gonna go directly to heaven when you. when you're ready.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. The world appreciates what you're doing, and we're going to do our best to get it out to the world. Those of you listening, remember, we're on a mission to create a billion brains. It's your brain if you're listening this far that we're talking about. So it's your job, your mission to share this with your family, your friends, and your coworkers because they don't know what you now know. You're empowered with knowledge. And knowledge applied makes you a powerful person. So let's apply that knowledge. At least do your homework. Do what you need to do. Schedule that 30-minute call. Be one of the first 100. Take action. Your health is too important to wait. There's no time like now to save your health. So again, thank you for being part of the podcast, guys. You were great. A lot of information. We're going to have you back because you surprise me every time with even more and more stuff every time we talk. And Brain Tap Nation needs to know about it because, as I say, you've heard me say it before, nutrition is the number one thing. You cannot think of bad diet. Number two, we need to get you up moving and breathing, like I said, taking action, getting your body working. And then we need you to do some brain fitness work. That's where Brain Tap comes in. So
Wakeful activities.
Yes.
That's wakeful activities.
Yes. So
And
doing these
sleep.
things. So again, thanks for being part of the mission to better a billion brains. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with the world.
Thank you for joining us on our mission to better a billion brains. Follow at Dr. Patrick Porter on social media for updates, and remember to practice brain fitness every day.